Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the proposed winter 2023 balance changes for Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know if you agree, disagree or like any of these changes that I'm suggesting. And remember, I've got Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below. A Patreon if you want to give me some more support, and then a Fellgor Element Games if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, today I'm going to go over what's going on with the meta, you know, for Kill Team at the moment, and where we can see like maybe some buffs and nerfs. So currently, as some of you may already be aware, we have no stats at the moment. That's because Hot Sauce Teddy's on a bit of a break. He'll be back when Season 3 comes. So the faster Season 3 comes back, the faster we get stats. So we're in a weird spot where we actually don't have any real reliable data to go off of. And the last stats we have are for July, you know, where commandos were at 60%. But the meta is still mostly balanced due to the last balanced data slate we had in August, which was the emergency balanced data slate. So it was really good. It's done great stuff for the game, but there's still some problems. But generally, the meta is pretty good. If you ask most people, everyone really likes where the meta is at, myself included. But we should be getting some balance changes in winter, which could be December or January. But there's no harm in looking a bit early, especially while it's October. But yeah, we've had a lot of big majors recently. So we had Warhammer World in August, end of August. Nova, end of August. Freak Wars, we had the London GT. And, you know, we've even got, I think it's Tacoma coming up. One of the last US Opens before the grand finale in Atlanta. So we've had a lot of tournaments. And like, if you've looked at the tournaments, Warhammer World Commandos, there were 3 in the top 8. And there were 4 in the top 8 for Nova out of like 18 or 16 commandos. And they came 1st, 4th, 5th, and 8th or 7th. So commandos doing really well. Freak Wars, they were in the top 8 or top 16. And, you know, you've had Phobos doing really well. They won Warhammer World. Blooded winning Freak Wars. So we've had a kind of varied meta. We've also had Star Striders coming 2nd at both Warhammer World and Freak Wars. We also have had no new releases recently. I believe the last proper Kill Team release was probably back in May or June. So it's been a long time. So we've kind of stagnated a bit. We had a recent metawatch outlining what Games Workshop is watching out for at the moment. And as for changes, because we've got a new season hopefully coming soon, I'm hesitant for big changes based around Season 2 results, especially when Season 3 is changing. Season 3 will likely change stuff, because the issue is if you're making balance changes for Season 2, like huge balance changes, it's kind of, obviously Games Workshop will know what is coming, but we don't. So it's, in my opinion, better to wait, but we'll see. So first off, we go with the Orc Commandos. They're kind of ridiculous currently in this meta. Arguably one of the best, or the best Kill Team. They can be very oppressive to play against, especially on open boards. That's because they can sneaky get up to 3 times, and they only have to be more than red from your drop zone, while also being within black of terrain. Right? And then they can sneaky get and just rush you down. It's very oppressive, especially with how most open maps are designed. Like, if you look at the majority of all open maps, commandos just automatically shut them down. It's kind of crazy. Like, if you're going off for the pre-made map packs, even a lot of the maps I've seen, you know, my maps are designed to mess around with Orc Commando forward deploy and any forward deploy in general, but it's still hard to do because they can do so many and you can't block them out, and they can just kind of win the midboard. And we actually have a lot of missions where there are 1 or 2 objectives on the midline, which they will just naturally do well at. So the main change I would do first, they need the FAQ, the forward deploy wording on into the dark, because apparently the intention is you're not supposed to be able to start and engage and then do the free move, because you're limited to 1 forward deploy into the dark. But currently, as per the current wording, you can start and engage, move, open a door, then you can shush, then you can dash, and then you can just like effectively alpha strike people turning point 1 on into the dark. It's insane, right? So the main change, because this would affect all teams with forward deploys. So, you know, you've got the Hunter Clade, Hyrotech Circle, and also Wyrmblade. So they would all have to either stay on conceal as per their order instead of just opening it for free. Sneaky Get also needs to be capped once per game. It's too good. It was too good at 2. It's insane being able to do it free. So a lot of people don't remember, because this strat happens before turning point 1, it is not capped to the once per game rule for strategic ploys and tactical ploys. So you can use it as many times if you have CP, and you have free CP before the start of turning point 1, so you can do it up to 3 times. Just cap it to once per game. That is just like desperately needed. I would also make the Bomb Squig and Grot either removed in terms of taking them both for one boy, or make GA2 when taken together, because 11 activations is too strong for commandos. It's too good. Like 11 activations is crazy powerful, and it should be a very limited thing. Them being able to be 11 activations and it's just too good. The Bomb Squig also needs to get APL modifiers don't apply to it via the stupid rule that it has, and then that's fine, because I think the biggest problem you have is you have the Dynamite on one flank, then you have the Bomb Squig on the other, and because the Bomb Squig can get free APL, you can shush, so you can 3-inch dash in the strategic phase, then you can move and dash 9 inches and blow up for an effective threat range of like 11 inches, which is way too good. It's too good, especially as on a 25mm base, and then on into the knock gets lethal 5 up. I think the Bomb Squig desperately needs to be able to not get modifiers, because it's kind of doesn't make sense. I can get the Grot being bossed around, right? Because the Grots get bossed around all the time. Bomb Squigs are stupid. They literally don't understand orders. So again, APL modifiers. So it is a nerf because it can't get +1 APL, but it's also a pseudo buff because it can't be stunned. And then I think if you keep the Bomb Squig and Grot, just make them GA2. Like it's fine. I think taking them together is good, and if you want to maintain that, they should be GA2. But things that have to happen is the FAQ update for forward deploy, sneaky get once per game, and the Bomb Squig can't go to free APL. Nerfs for the rest. So now I'll cover minor nerfs I would like to see for the other kill teams, as you can see above. Now, these are partly based on how they've been doing at tournaments, but also playing against them, because now we don't have stats for now. We can go off what feels kind of oppressive to play against, and these kill teams have been doing very well, while most of them have. But there's things people know that it's not fun to play against, and these are just feel bad mechanics to an extent. So for example, Phobos, Vanguard, it's great, right? It turns out if you add enough rules to a strategic ploy, it will finally be good and make the kill team better. So the main issue is Vanguard gives you plus black movement, you ignore your first white of dropping, traversing or climbing, and you do a mission action for 1 AP less. I think it either needs to be CP1+, or you pick 2 out of the 3 rules every time you use it. Because at the moment, it's kind of ridiculous. On Into the Dark, you've got way too many efficient Marines running. Even on other missions, it's too good. So I think a nice change would make it either CP1+, so you kind of have to be more careful when you use it, or you go like, instead of going CP1+, it's like, oh, when I act for this turning point, I'm going to pick plus black movement, and I'm going to do the mission actions for 1 AP less, or this turn I'm going to do the traverse and the movement, or I'm going to do the traverse and the -1 to mission actions. Either is fine for me. I think just having 3 rules on a single strat for 1 CP a turn on a team that can generate strategic ploys, like 1 CP a turn, it's just too good, and it would make them fairer to play against, because they can do ridiculous things with Vanguard at the moment, and I think it either needs to cost more or they have to pick which rules to use. Elucidine and Starstriders, they have been doing well, and the issue is they are kind of very unfun to play against, mainly because of support assets. So a change I would recommend is support assets can only be used from ready operatives. I did think about only operatives with engage orders, but then it becomes, according to other Starstrider players, impossible to use. But I think only being able to use from ready operatives makes it a little bit fairer, because the problem you have is someone moves and dashes up. If you don't get them in time, even if they're on a conceal order, they can just go like, oh, you've left this guy alone. Well, they're just going to chuck a lance from their pocket. I would prefer if it only activated from ready operatives with engage orders, right? But I think just ready operatives is fine. It stops people going, oh, I'm running up this Navis into your face 9 inches or 11 inches if I've got my strap ploy up. Now next activation, I'm going to lance you in your face from my pocket, right? I think just making it only work from ready operatives makes it fairer for everyone else playing into it, because this kill team kind of has too many tricks, and I think this just makes them fairer to play against. Imperial Navy breaches, They are crazy. They are still really good. Definitely S tier. I think the only change they really need is just to reduce their alpha strike and punish them a bit with their durability. So all I do is Blitz only gives a single auto retain crit instead of both a crit and a hit when you activate first. So, you know, you still get an auto retain crit, which most people don't get, instead of getting a crit and a hit, which is just ridiculous. And just make stims 2 EP from 1. So instead of having, you know, 10 operatives at 8 wounds or whatever, you can only pick 5, and I think that would make the team a little bit more honest. There would be other changes I'd like to do, but I think these would be the fairest changes so far for breaches. And then higher attack circle, this is more just for quality of life for everyone else, but the nanomine being an aura of red is way, like a red diameter radius is so huge. A 12-inch bubble of super like it's not even a modifier, so it just reduces all movement. Just make it range blue, so it's a 6-inch bubble instead of a 12-inch bubble, and it will just be fun for everyone else, right? If you have to buff higher attack in other places to get this change, I am happy, but I think most players will agree, please just make the Contemporary Nanomine blue instead of red. Because if it's a 12-inch bubble of minus white from your move and dash, it just pins people for the entire game. And if you can't reach the higher attack in time, they just win because you're slow. And if you're injured, you're just stuck there, or you got a 2 white movement base. You're just stuck. So I think it's a lot fairer if it's just range blue. But those are all the nerfs. Now we'll go on to some buffs. So Hearthkyn Salvager buffs. So despite winning the LGT just gone past, they're still a hard team to use well, right? They're quite slow and they are quite limited. I don't think they actually need many huge changes. Most can be done via just wording updates and erratas, because at the moment they're in a really good place. And that's what I would go off. So for these erratas, mainly I would make the Hearthkyn Plasma Pistol for the leader change from AP1 to AP2. So you have an actual incentive to use it, because you have to remember this Plasma Pistol is 3/5 AP1 hitting on 4s. Technically, the auto, like the Ion Blaster, outperforms it because it hits on 3s, 3/4 P1 with unlimited range. So I think just making the Plasma Pistol AP2 makes you go, okay, actually may now take it sometimes. And then the Locator for his early detection, I would just update the wording so it works on all forward deploys and all kinds of strategy phase / equipment movement, because it's really weird. For example, his forward deploy blocking only stops Commandos and Hunterclade. It doesn't work on Wyrmblade and Hyrotech Circle, and his dash stopping only works on Recon dashes. So it doesn't work on Phobos Grav Shoots, who dash 4 inches. And then it also weirdly doesn't work on the Chaos Cult dashes as well, because even though they say dash, it's not a recon dash, it's just an equipment dash. And then it would also stop stuff like Shush, Into the Breach. So I think that would be really good, because at the moment people don't really like taking the Locator, and it just helps make this team more honest to play against, and I think that's fairer. If they wanted to go a bit further, you could maybe buff the Dozer, because he's good on Into the Dark, but that's because all melee operatives are good on Into the Dark. I think all you need is like -1 damage taken on each attack dice, or just a 6-up DPR, because he's really hard to use on open. Great on Into the Dark, because once again, he can't get shot, so he just comes around the corner and like Hadouken, like Shoryukens you, right? So just maybe make him a little bit more durable to make him better on open, especially if we start moving away from Into the Dark on Season 2. But yeah, as it is, the great thing, basically all of these, apart from the Dozer, can just be done via erratas, so it doesn't really need a balanced data slate, but there you go. Now, Exaction Squad. These are one of the 3 kill teams that Games Workshop said they are actively looking at buffing. I've played Exaction Squad. They are like Hearthkyn Salvagers, but worse. They are far harder to do well with, even with prep and practice, because effectively you need a unique kill team for every kill team you face, as well as every mission you play. So they're really hard to use well. And I think they're almost there, but they just need some minor buffs. So firstly, you make the Marksman BS2 from BS3, just because it's a sniper. Just give him BS2. Make manacles 1 equipment point, and work on operatives with a wound characteristic of 8 or less, or 8 and less. Because the thing is, manacles are actually pretty fun, and they would be usable if they were 1 equipment point and worked on operatives with 8 or less wounds, because there are so many kill teams that have 8 wounds now. it would just make it actually a thematic, usable piece of the kill team and make it fun. If they're one equipment point, I would suddenly go, maybe I will go like 5 flashlights and 5 manacles because they're usable. And I think that's just fair. Batons, just make them stun and lethal 4-up, right? Keep them at 2-2 damage. I'm fine with them being 2-2 damage. Just make them stun, like lethal 4-up and stun. So if you do fight in combat with a normal Exaction squad operative, they won't kill you, but they'll parry you out and just like stun you. So it makes charging them, you have to be careful instead of going, my elbow is harder than your baton, which doesn't make sense. Then the grenade launcher, give him +1 ballistic skill when within red of enemy operatives to represent like close range firepower, and the heavy stubber gains relentless over ceaseless, because the heavy stubber still hits on 4s, so just giving relentless just makes it both of these operatives more attractive to take. I still like taking the grenade launcher without the BS, but it would help the general player base. And then also I would make the non-parry profile for subductors and leader with suppression shield +1 weapon skill. So they can either double parry and parry first on a 4-up or hit on a 3-up, and that means the leader will hit on 2-up in combat. And I think that's all the kill team needs, and then it'd be pretty much perfect. As I said, it's mainly looking at making manacles more usable, add slight buffs to the gunners, as well as making batons and your melee a little bit better, but not oppressive, right? And I think it's really interesting with the shields, because you go, I either hit you better, or I can just gamble on the parry out. And I think that's pretty cool. Wyrmblade Buffs, right? They are a very hard team to buff without becoming broken due to how the team is constructed. I think the only thing I can think make work is gain a 3rd cult agent as an option, but that may be too strong as well. Although the Wyrmblade would go down to 8 activations if so, because instead of taking 4 GA2 guys, they would take 2, and that would give them 3 cult agents. I'm not sure what else you can do, like without making them crazy, like maybe giving them Amigos. So I don't think we're going to get extra operatives, but I think the easiest thing they could do is give them another cult agent, as long as it reduces them to 8 activations, which means there'd be 10 activations turning point 1 or 9, depending on how their forward deploy works. But I think that's just a lot fairer to play against. But we'll see. I don't envy them because, you know, a lot of Wyrmblades unintentionally cheat because of how it's worded. So we'll see. It's kind of a weird team. I've played them. They are very confusing because of the wording, but also hard to balance. Like you could argue maybe they can take an extra gunner and a heavy gunner, but I don't think that would do much for the key team. And if you give them too many cult agents, they become the cult agent team instead of this uprising force of Genestealer cult. So it's going to be hard. Fellgor Ravager Buffs. So they are still a really strong kill team, but apparently are not doing well. Although on the last set of stats, they were still fine. Apparently players are struggling to play with scoring change for frenzied operatives, because now they're like, oh, I just played Seek and Destroy and rushed on with the objectives. I don't know how to play. Like, yeah, that kind of thing. Whereas, well, technically you should just be playing them with recon. So once again, they're also hard to buff without making them too good again, because I think people forgot how oppressive they were to play against. At the moment, they are fine, but it looks like they might be buffed. So the way I would buff them, first do update the wording on Frenzy, so rules as written, warriors can't argue that Beastmen can die to a single shooting volley, despite Elliot, the lead designer of Kill Team, explaining how the rule is supposed to work in the article attached with the last balanced data slate. Because you will have people vehemently argue, oh, I've got a single crit in my shooting roll, you failed to save it, now you die in a single volley, because that's how the wording is. And then, you know, they'll just go like, I don't care if he's the lead designer of Kill Team, he's wrong. So just update the wording so that doesn't happen. I know people are actively not taking Fellgor Ravagers because they don't want to face people who will just argue this blue in the face, even when like other tournament organizers have told them no. So just do that. I would make the Iron Horn and Shaman free APL, partly as they can't be buffed by the Herd Gold, which is the comms for the Kill Team. So what this does, it gives you 2 models with free APL. It means you get more utility out of the Psyker. So the Psyker could like move, do a mission action, do a psychic buff, or like, you know, move and dash and do a psychic buff. Makes the Psyker really useful, and the leader more utility piece as well for actually gaining objectives and doing mission actions, because the team does struggle with APL management. And I think it's fair making the 2 operatives that can't get +1 APL free APL. So I think that'd be cool. It would help a lot with mission management and doing doors and stuff. And then make Reckless Determination CP 0+. So the way Reckless Determination works is basically You can, until the end of the turning point, every time a shooting attack is made against a friendly operative that is not ready, you can retain one successful normal save without rolling it. So it makes frenzied operatives on the point who have pushed forward more likely to live, or even if they're not frenzied. So for example, you charge onto a point, you kill someone, you're now on the point, they shoot you, because you're already engaged and activated, you auto-retain a hit. If you're in cover, you retain 2 hits, so it makes you harder to bring down. So it makes, if you're making that aggressive push, turning point 1, really hard to deal with. Because remember, it doesn't work on readied operatives, and it would stack when you're frenzied, because it's harder to kill when you're activated, and then when you're frenzied, it even takes longer to kill, and it makes you, especially if you're in cover, you're more likely to retain 2 dice to block crits. So I think these changes, you know, just making the Shaman and Leader free APL and Reckless Determination CP 0+. So turn 2, when you pop it, turning point 2 is 0. Turning point 3, if you use it, is 1 CP. I think that would help a lot, and probably all the kill team needs without doing crazy changes. So for the winter balance overview, it's basically big nerfs to commandos after very successful tournament results and popularity, especially with the July win rate being 60%. With a high usage rate. Like, they were doing really well, although still trying to keep them fun. So it's like, that's why I was like, if you want to take the Grot on the Bomb Squig, make him GA2, like, because it is a fun addition. So, and like, everyone is kind of on board with Sneaky Git going to 1, right? And I think making the Bomb Squig not be able to be buffed via comms just makes it fairer to play against, because it just gives the commandos too much board control. It's like double dynamite again. Otherwise, you have minor nerfs to other top teams that are perhaps a little too strong at the moment. So Phobos, Imperial Navy Breaches, and Elucidian Starstriders, with a quality of life change to Hyrotech. And once again, Hyrotech players, I'm happy for you to get buffs as a result of this, but please change the nanomine to a 6-inch bubble instead of a 12-inch bubble. Buffs for all other teams mentioned in the metawatch article, plus a little tweak to Hearthkyn, because I think Hearthkyn's in a really easy spot to buff just via an errata. Once again, all you need to do to Hearthkyn is make the leader pistol AP2, update the wording on the locator, and then if you wanted to, you could buff the dozer. But I think if you just do the AP2 change and the locator wording, so the locator actually works as he's supposed to work, I guess, it'd make it better. And once again, big buffs to Exaction Squad, because they need it, right? I tried. They are so hard and draining to play. Interesting buffs for Fellgor. As I said, I think making the leader and Psyker free APL and making Reckless Determination 0 CP, 0 CP plus 1, so it costs 1 CP more after you use it. I think would just help with the rush down playstyle and give the kill team more tools for scoring. And then finally, I think all you can do for Wyrmblade is give them an extra co-agent, because it would bring them down to 8 activations. So I think that's what you can do. But it's trying to keep it light before season 3, because hopefully jungle is life, jungle forever. But mostly light, right? I think that's all fair. The only honorable mentions, like you've got Warp Coven, who I think are fine. I would ideally like to see them gain either the choice of another operative, as in another Marine, or you can either take another Marine, or you can take 2 Zangor, but we'll wait and see. I think that's kind of a huge buff, giving extra operatives, so I'd rather wait to see what Season 3 brings before giving them that. And I think that's pretty much it. Kazakhin, I think, are in a good spot. Kazakhin are pretty much fine. Pathfinders are just waiting for Season 3. They're like, look, we've had enough of playing inside, right? And then Eldari teams are cursed to be forever balanced. I know there's weird things going on with like Hunterclade, but I think Hunterclade are fine as well. It's just a weird month for them that they had in July. But overall, I hope it's nice and light. And remember, these are just suggested buffs. I forgot to disclaim this at the start, so people have already probably watched this and shut it down and gone very angry, but they're just for fun, right? It's just for fun. It's just me reading the meta after playing all over the world and just like talking to people and seeing how the meta is. As I said, the meta's in a really good spot at the moment, and this winter change probably wouldn't happen till like December or January, or maybe even November. We'll see. But I think that would be really cool. Like, there's just minor tweaks, maybe after Season 3 drops, which should be hopefully within 4 weeks. We'll see. But I think this is a nice change. Nothing too crazy, nothing too big. And from my engagement, it's generally what most people have been asking for, especially in the competitive circle. So hopefully it's a nice, fun look. You know, the mega nerf is coming. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you like it? Hate it? Please don't hate it. You know, if you're upset, it's fine. Everyone can have their own views. Let me know what you would like to see changed. And if I missed any kill team you think is desperately in need of a buff or a nerf. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out free in the episode description below, and a affiliate link at Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Tom, Sam, NP, Nick, Mr. Meatwad, John Thomas, Dad of Goldens, Ben, and for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. 2 videos this week. I've done a lot of stuff, so hopefully can do 2 videos a week again before I start going on traveling again. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll have more kill team content soon. I've painted up some more kill teams, so I'll try and show them off. Maybe do a end of season 2 kill teams I've painted in basically a year. So yeah, you know, remember, stay fun. Meta is pretty good, even if we don't get any changes. And jungle forever, jungle for life. And remember, no matter what happens, no matter who gets nerfed or buffed, there's always a chance to win, as long as you can roll a crit.